In this episode of the IT Experts podcast, we're going to help you turn a bad day into a great day. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast, the only podcast to help MSPs scale to 1 million, and if already there, get to 5 and go faster. At the end of the day, isn't it all about building a business that works for you rather than you for it? I hope you enjoy the show. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast. And in this episode, we're going to help you turn those horrible, mundane, drab, boring, stressful days into great days. And how we're going to do this is we're going to reflect back on a couple of conversations we've been having recently in the Growth Hub. So the reason for this show today is to help you basically get the best out of your day. And the fact that, the purpose of the show today is to help you to remind ourselves really that, if you think you're right and you think you're wrong, then you're probably right. Our mindset is the thing that's really going to determine the level of success we have, whether personally or whether that be in business. And I want to reflect back on some conversations, as I said, that we've been having in the Growth Hub recently, where we had a bit of a round table about what was a bad day and what does a good day look like, and kind of what's in the middle and what makes it a bad day and what makes it a good day sort of thing. So we asked this question and we said to the guys, when you're having a really bad day, when you've got a doodahs hit the fan and everything's in a mess and people aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing and your clients are rubbing you up the wrong way, your team aren't doing exactly what they're doing as well, what does that look like? And some of the words that we had come out, and this is the amazing thing I just love about working in the IT channel, is that people are just so vulnerable and so honest and open, really, because when you're honest and open with things, what happens all of a sudden is people try to help you. And people come up with things, say, hey, I've been there, I've done that. And this is, this is basically why Stuart and I get up in the morning. But anyway, getting back to the point I'm talking about here, the red days, some of the words that were associated with that is I feel really isolated. I feel like I'm on my own in business. This is a flat structure. I started as a tech and now all of a sudden I'm running a £1.1 million business with 10 people, but it's still me and everyone's looking at me to making decisions. And I kind of do know what I'm doing, but I feel a little bit kind of like a bit of an imposter sometimes because it's kind of just happened through monthly recurring revenue and the fact that we've been busy. So we've got another tech, busy, get another tech, busy, get another tech, busy. Oh, crikey, need some admin, so they felt a bit isolated. Lack of accountability is another red word that came up quite a bit. And this was in relating to the fact that the team just didn't do what they were told. And many structures in MSPs that we see are quite flat. And what that means is that, everybody reports to the owner. And that is not really very scalable because you just add more and more people and there's more and more people for you to deal with. And if you listen to the last podcast, it was all about bottlenecks and it was all about you getting out of your own way as well. So lack of accountability and people understanding what they're doing. If you're busy being busy, you probably haven't sat down and got proper clear roles, responsibilities, accountabilities. What does winning look like? What's the expectation exchange look like with your team? And that was another thing that came up. I felt a bit lost, didn't really have a lot of direction. That was quite a key one. Didn't really have a plan, was working to a plan, but, when things don't go right and when we talk about flow and you doing natural things, you want to just jump back into the techie side of things again. And if you don't, the plan will go to the side and you'll start to, because it won't be something that you'll find in your happy place, you'll get back on with the tech and the plan will go back in the drawer. Feels really stressful, just like really busy. That comes down to being bottlenecked and not leveraging and delegating to your teams. And people's are all in silo. They're all working in their own teams. They're not working across. They're not being innovative. And, the difficult thing with this is that no one's going to care about your business as much as you do. Let's be frank about it. Even your A players, your best people in your organization will probably only care about your business about 80%. The further 10% will be left to you. So when we recognize that and we build ourselves structures and processes around that, it does help us to make it more scalable and more efficient because we recognize that not everybody's going to do the same thing that we're going to put these many hours in, put the effort and the energy in. Too much to do is another red word. It's just like crazy busy. Again, that's probably due to bottlenecks, due to taking on too much work, not having the correct efficient structure in our experience. Everyone is busy. No one's got time. And there's lack of priorities, It all goes back down to that horrible to-do list again, the one that are going to give you the endorphin hit because you're going to knock them off first. But in actual fact, if you ate the frog, great Brian Tracy book, and if you actually did some of the tasks and some of the horrible tasks that you've been putting off for so long, you'll probably end up with a better position and you'll end up achieving more, because really what we should be doing when we're going in the office in the mornings is making sure our first task should be making sure that the rest of the team know what they're doing, and the rest of the team are, you can then leverage that time, because then you go and work on stuff that's on your own, that you can controlling on your own, rather than having teams sitting around waiting for you to make decisions. So there's some red words there. So have a little think about, see if any of those resonate with you. And more importantly, we're going to cover off some of the strategies that help you go from the red to the green. So we then had the second discussion with this was about, what does green look like when it's a great day in the office? What does that feel like? The first one was, we're together as a team. Everybody's working really, really well. Laughter going on. One of the guys said, and if you're listening to this podcast who you are, see more teeth, see more smiling going on in the office. There was progress. Feels like things were progressing. The world was moving forwards. New clients were coming on board. New team members were coming on board. And it was a great place to be. We felt like we were achieving something. Great sense of achievement. You can feel the growth in the numbers. You can feel the growth in the amount of, not only on the balance sheet, but also with the, the amount of work going through the ticketing system and solving clients' problems. Real positive change, real happy place to be, real settled. People are getting into flow. People were relaxed. Bit of business as usual. We're just getting on with it. We're just fixing what we do. We're having a good crack. We're having a laugh. We might be having a few pizzas on a Friday or something. And as I mentioned, people are kind of getting into flow. So, when we look at this and we look at the fact that, many of you guys didn't set out to run a business to start with, and we can get carried away with it. But, it's just not enjoyable sometimes if you spend too much time on the red. And it's our choice to where we spend our time, who we spend our time with, and how we spend our time. And I think at this time, it's a case of saying, self-awareness is really going to be the biggest thing as one of the leaders. And how do we move from red to the green? How do we go from having a bad day to having a great day? So we connected them together and we came up with some strategies and some things that people were talking about that would help them either move from red to green days, or they've done and they've kind of worked forwards in that kind of matter of fact. One of the things that we don't do, if you're in the UK, because you're terribly English, is we don't reflect on our wins very much. And this is really, really important, because while we shouldn't live our life looking in the rearview mirror, we should look at our life, thinking forward, but also reflecting back and having a look and going, that was really good. How can we build on that? How can we deliver that project quicker, more efficiently, more on time? How can we deliver more projects like that? Having lessons learned processes and reflecting on wins, but not only reflecting on wins, with the business owner and your senior leadership team, but also reflecting on wins with your team as well, and sharing with them the great things that are going on, and sharing with them how the new client onboarding's going and the progress and all of this kind of good stuff. And even personally, some wins if people are doing some things for charity or fitness or whatever it might be, is, don't just reflect the wins all the way back to the business, bring them back to the personal side as well. So have a reflect on the wins. That'll make everybody feel a bit better. It'll feel that they're progressing really well. Second one, kind of train of thought, was around just stopping for a sec and let's reprioritize, reposition, and regain perspective. If we ever feel like we're on a runaway train and we're rattling down the runway, we're rattling down the railway tracks and we're feeling out of control, well, you've got the control and you've got the ability to just say stop for a minute. Just say stop and hang on a sec. Right. Is what we're all working on a priority? What are we going? Let's go back to, the 1 year plan. What are we trying to achieve this year? Let's go back to our 90-day plan, or however you do it. We do it in 16-week chunks at the Growth Hub. But let's go back to our plan, because when you sit down and you go through your business plan and you go through your goals and objectives and what you want to achieve, at that moment in time, that is the most important thing in your life. That is the most important thing in your life. So when things get in the way and the railway tracks come along and we kind of go scuttling off in a different direction, this is the problem that we have. So go back, reprioritize. Is what we had a year ago, is what we had a year ago still the key thing for us? Is what we had in our 90-day plan still a key thing for us? Let's regain the perspective. if the plan's got to change the plan. I'm not saying go to your 12-month plan and stick to it. If things have moved, things have changed, people have left, client might have left, your big tech might have left, the most important person in the organization, from a technical point of view, might have left. But reposition yourself. Take the time to take yourself out of the business and find out, why is it feeling stressful? Why is it feeling all red? People are in silos, too much to do. Everyone's really busy. No one's got any time, because they're all focusing on different things. The football team are all fighting with different goals. They're all going in different ways. So just stop for a minute, reprioritize, reposition, and regain that perspective. The next one was to try and understand the behaviors of the people, whether it be your clients or whether it be your people within the organization, and have a look and see if you can identify the triggers. So does it get really busy at the end of a project when you're stealing staff from your professional services team, from the help desk into the professional services? What's it at the end of the month when you're trying to get the numbers in? Is it the end of the year when you're really trying to get everything all invoiced and get those last few sales in? Have a look at some of the behaviors that are going on in the business, and have a look at some of the triggers that are going on, and see if you can map them between, people being bad, having a bad attitude in the office. Is it a particular person? You might have one person who's quite negative. You might have one person who's quite open and friendly, and just have a think about that. But really, the key thing that kind of boils out of this one here is around the shadow of the leader. And what we mean by this is, as a business leader, how you show up every day, how you behave, how you talk, how your body language is, and all of that kind of great stuff is how the rest of your business will operate, basically. If you had a really bad day, or if you had a really bad morning and the cat's thrown up all over your new shoes, and you go in the office and someone bangs your car in the way in the office, and you walk through the office and kick off and start screaming and shouting at everyone because you're in a bad mood, guess what everyone else is going to start to do? They're the children, you're the parent. They're going to think, hey, this is all right to behave like this. I remember working with one organisation, and it was just chaos, to be quite frank. And when I got under the hood of it, it was all down to the senior leader. It was all down to the way that this guy come in the office and he'd scream and shout and bang the table and do this and do that, didn't follow any processes, and then wonder why no one else followed any processes afterwards. Well, it's because how you behave and how you teach and train your kids. And that's no different on how, your tonality, your body language, your dress sense, your attitude, your communication style, your non-verbal communication. All of those great things are really important for the shadow of the leader. So many of these situations that we're talking about here, lack of accountability, might be because you haven't set accountability. Well, how on earth is the rest of your team supposed to know what they're doing if you haven't set them down a good job description and some targets? If you haven't set right timescales and then tell everybody that you need it quicker and faster and cheaper, it's going to get quite stressful. If you don't direct your team and if you don't direct your staff into a certain position where they know clearly what their departmental goals are, people are going to work in silos, and if people have been too busy because you haven't had time to have communication, you haven't had time to have team meetings, and you haven't had time to sit down and let everybody know where the business is going and what our priorities are for this day, week, month, whatever it is, people will be busy and they'll fill in their holes in their time and they'll be busy doing stuff that they want to do. So that's a little bit about the shadow of the leader. And it's actually wonderful to work in the Growth Hub because people are so honest and open in the channel about some of these great things. And when you're open and honest with things, and when you've got it off your chest and you realize that you're not alone, then all of a sudden, people help you out. They come out with and sort of say, hey, look, you should try this. I used to be like that. I used to be like that, before we started working, and all of those kind of great things. So the opportunity here is to identify your red days, think about the situation that you're in, think about self-awareness, think about stepping back as a leader, think about the shadow of the leader that you're casting, think about the shadow of the leader that the rest of your leadership team and your senior people are casting. And if you look around and you see things that are a little bit out of control and a little bit, oh, hang on a minute, this doesn't quite look right, or that doesn't quite look right, before too long, you could probably see a trait where that's come from, where that learnt behaviours come from. Because at the end of the day, isn't this all about, having fun, having more time, being more efficient, enjoying what we do, living our best life, and helping other people. So what I want to do is I just want to bring you back to a couple of other episodes of the podcast I think you'll find really useful if this is tickled your fancy or kind of got your juices flowing a little bit. The first one is episode 79, and it's MSP success stories with a great friend of the Growth Hub, Chris Ward from Vermont Systems. Now, Chris reduced his business down. He reduced his staff down considerably because he knew he needed to go back to go forwards. And his story is so inspiring. It's a wonderful story. It's heartfelt. I encourage you to go and listen to it because it's a really, really great episode. And I know that there's going to be a bucket load of stuff in there that's going to resonate with you. And then the second one I want you to go and have a listen to as well is episode 86, Mindset Magic with Richard Tubb. Great friend again, Richard, all about really getting your head in the right space, really getting out of your own way and how mental health can get in and affect some of these things to keep those decisions. And, when we need to look at the triggers, reflect, reprioritize, reposition, what gets in the way that stops us from doing that? And how can we, be better versions of ourselves to create ourselves some amazing businesses out here? Isn't that what this is all about? So that's about it from me for this episode. We've got some really amazing events coming up soon at the MSP Growth Hub. Go and check them out at themspgrowthhub.com/events, and you will see what's going on. We've got an amazing one about strategy. We've had some previous ones around leadership and sales and marketing, and always giving a bucket load of value, loads of coaching and training in all of those sessions there to help you get to 1 million. And if you're already there, help you get to 5 and go faster. So that's it from me today. You go and enjoy the rest of your day, and I look forward to catching up with you guys soon. Look after yourselves. So I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, I'd love it if you could leave a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform. If you want to learn more about how to take your MSP to 1 million, or if you're already there, go faster, then come and join Stuart Warwick and myself in the Scale with Confidence Facebook group. The link is in the show notes. You go and enjoy the rest of your day, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.